Hey everybody, it's me, Melody. Welcome to my stream. Make sure you hit the like button on your way in. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe and share on your platform. Whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on Instagram, whether you're another content creator on YouTube, please share because I am shadow banned and I need people to watch. So please share. Very, very important. So today we have an interesting show. It's called Do Women Call Men Simps to Shame Them for Being Nice Guys? Now, I did a poll on this and not really surprisingly, but a lot of you guys said that women pretty much do call men simps for being nice. So I do agree with that. But honestly, women rarely call men simps because usually I hear it coming from men. But when they do, it's because they're being too nice, or even a man trying to ask a woman out on a date. You can't do that anymore because women will shame you. They'll tell everybody, oh, a simp just asked me out, or a simp just bought me flowers to my job. You can't do the old fashioned things anymore because women will definitely shame you. So, um, I looked up the definition of simp. So, pretty much a simp is a man who's too attentive and submissive to a woman. So, I guess if a man keep on inboxing a woman over and over and over again and don't get an answer, and it's in pretty much is being left on red, so he knows she's reading it, but he keeps on trying over and over and over again, I guess you consider that a simp. See, I don't like shaming men or calling them names, so I wouldn't consider it a simp, but from the definition, that's pretty much what a simp is. Or I guess if let me give another example. If a man came up to a woman's job, like what he saw, and he kept going there just to see her and kept asking around on dates and asking her for her phone number, and she's just not budging. She's not giving anything up. She's not giving up any information. I guess pretty much that would be considered a simp to her. So I guess there are circumstances where you can use the word, but women are taking it too far. They're not even giving men a chance. A man can hit a girl up in the inbox and ask her out on a date, and automatically he's a simp. So it's crazy to me how modern women like to shame men these days. And that's probably another reason why women aren't being asked out these days. Men aren't walking up to women asking them out because they're pretty much afraid that they're going to be shamed. So it makes a lot of sense. I have a guess. Hey, it's ARC. Hi,
Yeah,
ARC.
I don't think I've been in your channel since you
Oh, I
interviewed
can't
me.
hear you. Is it my? Hold on. Let me see if it's my phone. Can you guys hear ARC?
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
ARC,
Testing.
I can't hear you.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing one
Put a
two
one in the
three.
chat if you guys could hear ARC. I don't know if it's me. What is going on? Hold on 1 second. I'm so sorry, ARC. Um, what's going
Testing
on
one
with my
two three.
connection?
Testing 1 2 3.
Hold on. Hello?
They said they can hear me in the chat
Oh,
room.
I can hear you. Okay, I just fixed it.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Yeah, I was saying that I don't think I've been in your channel since you did that infamous one-on-one interview with me. And
No.
but this happened to come up on my main page as a recommendation. So you might not be totally shadow brand because I was on
Not
my main page and this came up as a recommendation.
really.
Yeah.
So
So,
so maybe it's getting a little better.
but I'm not gonna stay too long. But I want to quickly say, you probably already saw my comment in your chat room. Most women I know, they rarely refer to men as simps, at least to their face. You you you,
Mhm.
you rarely say it because, for one reason, and I've done videos about this, that wouldn't be smart. it,
No.
if a woman, I'll say this: if a woman is genuinely looking to manipulate a man, either for his non-sexual time, attention, and companionship, and or for his financial resources and material possessions, it would not be a smart move for a woman to try to shame him. See, most highly manipulative women, and this was what my book, I don't know if you're familiar with a book I have called The Possibility of Sex.
Yes.
Yeah. Matter of fact, kind of toot my horn a bit, both Bernard Riley, Edward Anderson, and a handful of other guys in the Black manosphere called that the best anti-simping book they've ever read.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. There was one episode Bernard Riley was doing, and he happened to make mention of that book. He said, I would have to say that's the best anti-simping book that I've read. And then Edward Anderson co-signed with it, and about 3 or 4 other guys said, yeah, I would have to agree with that. Yeah, ARC's book, The Possibility of Sex, was probably the first book about anti-simping. But what I was going to say is that in that book, I talk about how women love women who are a combination of highly manipulative and materialistic. They love simps for this reason, because a lot of guys nowadays have kind of expanded it and worse, distorted that term. But initially, the term simp only really had two meanings. One was a guy who spent a lot of time with a woman, and even more so, spent a lot of money on a woman without ever getting his dick sucked or getting any pussy in the end. And
Mhm.
secondly, it was a guy, if he was married or in a relationship, it was a guy who basically regularly got browbeaten and verbally disrespected and emasculated and dominated by his wife, fiance, or long-term girlfriend. So those are the two general definitions of simp. Nowadays, guys done attach the word simp to a lot of behavior, but
Right.
I was gonna say that women, here's why most manipulative, materialistic women love simps, is because these guys will take them out to dinner, buy them materialistic gifts, flatter them to the highest degree without really demanding that those women give them any pussy. And
So
so, why wouldn't you love it? If you're a woman, why wouldn't you love a simp?
right. But this is the thing, like people are calling Russell Wilson a simp, but he's married. So how is he a simp?
Yeah, see, I don't disagree. I mean, I don't agree with that either. I'll tell you one reason why I would say I believe men refer to him as a simp. And see, some men, for example, believe that a guy is a simp if he gets into a long-term relationship or a marriage with a woman who has kids by another man, or has had some type of promiscuous or at least semi-promiscuous reputation. But that's not really a simp, at least not in my eyes. I don't consider that a simp.
Right.
Again, I gave my two definitions of simp. Anything other than those two definitions I expressed, I tend to generally not agree. Like, I've heard guys on YouTube call guys who are womanizers simps. They'll say, "Oh, if you're fucking a bunch of different women, you a simp."
How?
Like, that's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
literally 2 years ago, somebody had a live stream where somebody said that. They said, "Yeah, I see all these guys who be fucking all these women out here to be simps because they playing up to the gynocracy by doing that and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Okay,
Yeah, that
okay,
makes no
I
sense.
yeah, I don't agree with that definition. I think that that might be sour grapes.
exactly. That's sour grapes." And that's what I feel like. Some guys, not all guys, but there's some guys in this space that they'll call a guy simp basically if they have a sour grapes mentality towards other men's behavior. It could be, prompted by jealousy, envy, their own sexual frustrations, what have you. But But yeah, I would just simply say again that related to your title, I haven't seen that. If other people have seen that, I would be curious to hear their share their experiences. But I personally have rarely have ever heard a woman again tell a man to his face, "You're a simp," unless they was just trying to bruise his ego, like here on YouTube or maybe on Instagram or Facebook or something. But
Yeah,
again, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say that's why I hear it the most on Instagram. Like, oh, that was a simp. He was in my inbox asking me out. Like, I hear a lot of women say that. Would
I
you
think they
consider?
say it to other women. I don't think that they say it to the simp himself or the man that they consider a simp himself. Because, like Alan says, that would ruin the hustle. Like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, yes, most women, again, most women I know who happen to be manipulative materialists, they want to take advantage of simps for as long, as for many days, as many weeks, as many months as possible. So that would be shooting themselves in the foot to say, "Hey, Henry, you're a simp for buying me this mint coat and paying my car note and
Hmm.
doing this without getting no pussy. Guy, you're such a stupid simp for doing that." Like, no woman said that ever.
Right.
now, Alan, I want to ask you this. I came up to ask you this.
Mhm.
Why do you think men call women sluts? Like
Hmm.
it seems like
Interesting.
because it seems like that would be just as foolish as a woman calling a man a simp, like shaming him out of doing something that she wants him to do. Like, why would a man who's sleeping with a woman call her a slut afterwards, shaming her out of doing the thing that he obviously wants her to do?
Well, it's funny you would say that. That is the $1,000,000 question. I've addressed that at least 3 or 4 times since I've been on YouTube.
Hmm.
I do think it's just as goofy as a woman calling a man a simp who wants to take advantage of that man. Yeah, I've never agreed with that. Matter of fact, one of the most controversial articles I wrote on the Negro Manosphere, it was called "The Double Standard of Promiscuity," and I touched on that in that article, and I got a lot of pushback. But I basically said for myself, I've rarely have ever pursued a woman for casual sex, fucked her, and then afterwards tried to disparage her by calling her a slut.
Nor have I.
I've never done that in my life.
Nor have I.
Really? So even if you want a woman, which we know you do all the time, you don't
Mhm.
consider her a slut?
No, I don't like to, because for me, I feel like it's hypocritical. Now, most men make the argument, well, men and women are different. Men and women are different. Men and women are different. As promiscuous as my behavior has been, starting with my late teens, early 20s, how am I going to turn around and pass judgment on a woman's promiscuity? I don't do that. That's just not me. I know a lot of other guys do that, but me, Alan Roger Curry, I've the only time I've honestly, genuinely called a woman a slut, it had nothing to do with how many men she might have indulged in casual sex with. It had more to do with cheating. Like,
Mm.
there's some women I fucked that while at the time I fucked them, they had a husband, fiance, or a long-term boyfriend. And those women, yeah, I did refer to them as sluts to their face. I would say, "You are
Mm.
no good cheating ass slut."
Right. Wait. Is this before or after you got some?
Usually, well, a combination of both. I would say in general, both. Most of the time, before I would tell them once they let me know they was gonna let me fuck. And some men would find that curious, like some of my close friends real life, they used to be like, "Damn, so you used to criticize," or they knew that I had criticized women. But yeah, I would. I never showed when I fucked women who were cheating, I never showed them respect. I
Mm.
never. That's if there's one group of women that I would just blatantly disrespect, but I would still fuck them. But I would disrespect them is women who were cheating on their husband or cheating on their fiance or cheating on their boyfriend. I would ask them most of the time. I say, "Why is my dick in your mouth and you got a boyfriend?" And they would say,
Right.
"Well," like one story I've told a couple times on my channel. I remember one time I had a woman over my place. She was sucking my dick. Her boyfriend called on her cell phone, and I could hear him talking. He was like, "Yeah, where you at, baby?" And he was perceptive. he could tell it was silent. She said she was at the shopping mall with one of her girlfriends. And he said, "Why is so quiet?" And she said, "Oh, yeah, I'm in a women's boutique for women's clothing. There's just not that many customers in here." And he bought that. He said, "Oh, okay." And at the end of the conversation, she said with real genuine enthusiasm, she said, "I love you. I love you, baby." And he said, "Oh, I love you too." And she said, "I'll see you later." And then I just gave her this look, like after she hung up the phone, like, "You ain't shit," like expression. And she said, "Why are you looking at me like that?" I said, "Because," I said, "you're a blatant liar." I said, "You just lied to your boyfriend, told him you was at the mall and you here sucking my dick." And she was like, "So?" And then I said, "At the end, you're going to say, 'I love you,' but you getting ready to put my dick back in your mouth. I'm getting ready to come in your mouth." And
Unbelievable.
then she playfully slapped me on my thigh. She said, "Oh, Alan, why you analyzing me? Why you analyzing me? Dang, why you trying to ruin the fun?" I said, "Cuz I'm just tripping off of some of you women." I said, "This guy thinks you in the mall with your girlfriend, but you here sucking my dick." Here's what was funny though, what was most interesting, why I told this story before. I was on doing one video where I said both certain men and certain women will cheat, but they will emphatically express that they love their wife or their husband or fiance or boyfriend, girlfriend. And like when this woman, I said, "Why did you tell your boyfriend you love him?" And she got real serious. She said, "I do love my boyfriend." And I basically was like, "No, you don't." She said, "Yes, I do." She said, "What makes you think I don't love my boyfriend?" I said, "Well, you're sucking my dick." She said, "That don't mean shit." And she was dead serious. She said, "That don't mean shit." She said, "Just because I'm sucking your dick don't mean I don't love my boyfriend." She said, "I love my boyfriend. I love him to death. I want us to get married one day. Just because I love sucking your dick don't mean I don't love my boyfriend." I was like, it just tripped me out that she got real passionate about it. But in her defense, I've known other women who felt the same way, who were cheating on their husband with me, their fiance with me, their boyfriend with me. But when I challenged them on loving their significant other, they would say, "No, just because I'm cheating don't mean I don't love my husband or don't mean I don't love my fiance." But men have done it too. I've heard men say, like, I've teased some of my frat brothers. I say, "Man, you don't love your wife. You'll be cheating on her every month." They're like, "Man, fuck you, Alan. I love my wife. I take a bullet for my wife. I love my wife. Just because I cheat on her don't mean I don't love her."
That's hard to believe. What do you think? Could you love your wife and still cheat?
I don't believe in cheating.
Yeah, me neither. I'm
Yeah,
with you on that.
I have to confess, as I confess, I don't want that to be confused with I've never cheated, because actually I have. I've cheated twice. I cheated my senior in high school, the girlfriend I had my senior in high school, and I cheated on a college girlfriend. But I can say this with conviction, starting with the age of 22 up until now, I have never, ever cheated on a woman. Every woman I've dated, I told them up front, I'm not going to promise you long-term strict monogamy. Like my wife right now. My wife right now, when I first started dating her, I told her that. I said, "I am not going to promise you long-term strict monogamy." Now, so far, my wife and I have been monogamous to each other, but
Hmm.
I never guaranteed her or promised her. And in all my previous ex-girlfriends, beginning with 22, I told them up front that there was at least a 40 to 50% chance I was going to be fuck another woman while we were dating. And I would ask them, I'll say, "Are you
Right.
cool with that? Because if you're not cool with that, we can go our separate ways now before we get too emotionally invested." And I've had some women that did step away. They said, "No, I don't think I can handle that." But I've had a lot of other women that was like, "Oh yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool."
Yeah, you have to be a
So
strong woman to accept that. But you're into a different lifestyle. We did our interview. Everybody know you're into BDSM, so they should know what to expect.
exactly, exactly, and they do. So I'm glad you brought that up. Well, actually, I've been involved in both the BDSM lifestyle and along with that, what's known as the polyamory lifestyle. And
Hmm.
polyamory is similar to having an open relationship, but at the same, I think we might have discussed that too, and I'm not sure in our one-on-one, but just a
Hmm.
reminder, yeah. A truly open relationship or open marriage is when you're free to fuck whoever you want, whenever you want, no questions asked. You know,
Right.
like if I had to give an example, the infamous entanglement scenario with Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, I found it interesting that when she had that table talk with him, she said at one point, she said, a lot of people are under the impression that I had to seek permission from you to have my entanglement with, I can't remember that dude's name. Someone,
Oh, yeah. What was his name? I can't even think. I know who you're talking about.
but
Yeah.
yeah, that guy. And once she said
Oh,
that
August.
was
I'm sorry, August Alsina. There you go.
oh, okay, yeah, August.
Yeah.
Once she said that let me know that they have an open relationship. Because some people tend to confuse and conflate polyamory with open. The one minor difference between a true polyamorous relationship and a fully open relationship, when you're in a polyamorous relationship, your significant other has to ask your permission. So, like,
Hmm.
if me and my wife are polyamorous, if my wife wanted to say, I don't know, one weekend have sex with one of her ex-boyfriends, she would have to come to me with that. She would have to say, hey, babe, you know, I was at my class reunion and I ran into my ex-boyfriend and we kind of, you know, was flirting with each other. And I was wondering if you would allow me to fuck him. And I would
Right.
either say yay or nay. You know, now if I say nay and she still does it, then that would essentially be cheating. She would be guilty of cheating, which would give me grounds to divorce her in a microsecond.
I have a question for you. Can she say no to you
Yeah,
when you ask her?
she could.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing. If say I met a woman I wanted to fuck and I brought it to her and she said, no, I don't particularly care for that woman and I would prefer you don't. If I was to say, well, fuck her, I'm the man in this relationship, I'm gonna fuck her anyway. I could do that, just being a BDSM dom, but at the same time, that would technically be cheating, which defeats the
Right.
whole purpose of polyamory. It's like basically, if you're gonna cheat, there's really no purpose in being in a polyamorous relationship. It defeats the whole purpose. So I would say, like with me and my wife, and I think I said this even in our interview, on paper, my wife and I are polyamorous, but in actual actions, we've operated as a monogamous couple since we started dating.
Right.
I haven't had sex with any other men, any other women. She hasn't had sex with any other men, and so we've been monogamous to each other.
Right. Now, I think that's probably because you guys are truly in love with each other.
Yeah. When
You don't know.
that feeling in love, Melody, comes into play, I've told even my clients about that. It changed. It definitely also once you have a kid.
Right.
Once you have a kid, it's like, man, you know, I'll
Yes,
just be honest. As a man, once your wife is giving birth to, like, you know, now that I have a son, yeah, I wouldn't even want to think about no other man being in my wife's pussy. I mean, that just no. Whereas honestly, I was more open minded to that. Like when we first started dating, when we didn't have a son together, you know.
Yeah. Oh, so before you guys had a son, did you? Well, you said no, you guys never stepped
We
out.
never did, but I
Yeah.
invited her to. Before we got real serious, what I would call real serious, I actually gave my now wife an invitation to go out and sow her wild oats. I said, hey, if you got any oats that need to be sold, do that shit now before me and you get closer. I
Right.
actually gave her an invitation. And she was basically like, no, I don't. That's because she comes from a background of Nation of Islam, and not saying no woman from Nation of Islam has ever been promiscuous in the history of life, but
Mhm.
most women who have a Nation of Islam background, they don't roll like that. And
Yeah,
so,
they're a lot different.
yeah, so that's my wife's background, and but I did give her the invitation before we started when we were just, you could say, casually dating before we got real serious. Yeah, I told her one time over the phone. I said, if you got some wild oats you want to sow, knock yourself out.
Hmm.
And she said, no, I don't have anybody. I would feel comfortable having sex with. I said, okay, I'll take you on your
Yeah.
word. And so far, everything's been good. But
Oh, how's the baby?
oh, he's doing great. He running. You know, I got to stay in shape to keep up with him.
Yeah,
He,
right. He's a
he's
little
walking and
cutie.
yeah, he's walking and running now. You know, so he keeps me busy. He keeps my wife busy. We actually looking to try to expand, if you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
so yeah,
A
but
girl this time. A little girl this time, right?
well, you know, that's interesting, Melody. You asked that because I'm almost split. Half of me would I mainly want a daughter for my wife's sake, more so than my sake. Because see, I know how I have the potential to be, and I just know also from talking to my close friends, they're like, dude, man, if you have a daughter, man, once she become a teenager, boy, she gonna be hell, dude. Are you ready for that? Because I got at least two close friends of mine that have two daughters. Yeah, two of my closest friends actually both have two daughters. One has two daughters and one son. The other just got two daughters. And they both basically told me that their daughters were a handful. But I say this, I wouldn't be disappointed if we had a daughter, but I kind of want my son to have a younger brother.
Right. It'll be different. Now, I think I asked you this in the interview, but we have a new crowd probably. So I'm going to ask you again. How would you feel if a man mode one'd your daughter? How would you feel?
Oh, I've been asked that question like only like probably 200,000 times. And,
Yes.
and, and to be honest, that probably I'll say this honestly, and I say this with conviction. If I did, let's say I did have a daughter, and once she got to now, honestly, on one end, if she was 17 years of age or younger, I wouldn't want my daughter fucking. I know there's a realistic chance that she probably would start fucking before
Mhm.
during that time, but I wouldn't want her fucking. Now, once she got to the age of 18 and over, I would actually prefer a man be mode one with my daughter than a man to be mode two and definitely mode three. I wouldn't want any young guy if I had a daughter. Let's say I had a daughter 21, 22. I wouldn't want a man trying to get my daughter in bed by giving her the misleading impression that he was like in love with her and wanted this emotionally profound long-term relationship with her, only to go ghost on her after he fucks her like 3 or 4 times, which is basically what pump and dump is. I wouldn't want no guy pumping and dumping my daughter. I would, depending on how it went down, I would probably send some people after that dude. And I'm not saying that 100% by
Yeah.
purpose.
And you know, people probably feel the same way about their daughters when you do it. It'd
See,
be
I'm straight up
crazy.
'cause
Like,
see, the thing about the beauty of mode one for on the woman's end is mode one always gives women the opportunity to reject them. Like every woman I've ever had casual sex with, I never tricked them into having casual sex with me. They had the opportunity to say, no, Alan, I'm not interested in having casual sex with you. So
right.
I always put the onus on the woman. And see, that's why a lot of guys like indirect game as opposed to direct game. Because a lot of guys don't want women to have that type of opportunity to reject them. But I do. I like for a woman to be in a position where if she's genuinely not interested in engaging in casual sex, I want her to be able to say, no, casual sex is not my thing. I'm not interested. So I can say on behalf of myself, I've never ever manipulated a woman or tricked a woman into having casual sex with me. Every woman I've had casual sex, they knew what they were getting into and they were down with it.
Right.
Whereas
So
when
yeah,
guys
you never
do that,
had.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead, and then I'll ask you.
No, I was just going to quickly reiterate what I already said, actually, is that when a guy uses what's known as indirect verbal game, which involves some degree of dishonesty and disingenuous and misleading behavior, emotionally manipulative behavior, you're basically tricking women into having casual sex with you. They're thinking that they're having sex with you because you either are their boyfriend or because they think you're on the verge of becoming their boyfriend. See,
Hmm.
that's misleading. I don't do that shit. I ain't down. I don't co-sign with that type of shit.
But you probably get the pussy easier. by doing that.
You said what?
You probably get the pussy easier by doing it.
Some guys feel that way. I don't feel that way, but a lot of guys do. That's why a lot of guys, co-sign with indirect. I've never felt like I could get pussy by being easier by being indirect than direct. I've gotten pussy easy by being direct. I mean, just straight up bold, raw ass direct. I've gotten pussy. I've fucked some women like literally like within 20 to 25 minutes after I first made their acquaintance, after we first started talking. Like one of my most infamous stories, I had a woman in a grocery store in Bloomington, Indiana, roughly 10 to 15 minutes after I made her acquaintance and started talking to her. She was on her knees in the grocery store sucking my dick.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't mislead her.
In the grocery store.
It's a grocery store called
That's
Kroger's.
funny.
Kroger, I know it's still down there. It's called Kroger's on
Kroger's.
3rd Avenue in Bloomington, Indiana. Yep. The significance of that story, my brother was with me. And see, up to this point, my brother had been a Mode 1 skeptic. He had heard my frat brothers singing my praises and some other guys on campus, but he hadn't actually seen me in action. He had heard about some of my seduction stories, but that was the first time he actually saw me in action. And that's actually the night when he first suggested me to put it on paper. He said, bro, if you getting results like this all the time, he said, man, you need to put this on paper, bro. You on something. He said, I ain't never seen no shit like that. You just walked up to this woman and started talking shit to her without alcohol in her system or yours. And she just like sucked your dick, dude. Like, he's like, what the fuck? How does that even happen?
That's crazy. But you know what's crazy? All right, this is my question to you. Have you ever been called a simp for coming at women like that?
Hell no. Well,
Never.
here on YouTube, I've been called a simp for being a womanizer. That's what I was alluding to earlier. I've had at least one or two guys told me one time, they said, Alan, man, you seem like you a guy that's driven by pussy, and I consider guys who are driven by pussy to be simps, man. And so in that respect, but nah, man, ain't nobody in my real life ever came close to calling me no simp because I've never exhibited. I'm pretty much the antithesis of a simp based on the true definition of a simp, which again is spending a lot of time and money with a woman that you ain't fucked yet. I don't do that shit. I don't invest time or money for casual sex at all.
I was gonna say, because you would be the total opposite of a simp.
Oh yeah, I don't.
But like a Mode 2 or Mode 3 guy would probably be considered a simp.
Yeah.
Because he's doing all that to get the pussy, right?
Yeah. Anytime you invest in a lot of time in your pursuit of a woman's sexual companion, and even more so, you invest a lot of money, but you're not getting the pussy. Now, it's one thing, like, contrast like a trick. A trick might invest some money, but at least they're getting they're spending money on guaranteed pussy. That's why a lot of guys get addicted to trick, because they, when you offer a woman that's down, you guarantee. Or even if she doesn't give you the pussy, she's gonna give you an immediate rejection. So you're not wasting time or money. Whereas simps are the guys that, because they don't have the courage, confidence, and courage to be direct about what they really want, they'll say, for example, just keep asking a woman out on dates. They might go on, like, say, 5 dates with a woman, have entertaining conversation. And then after those 5 days, let's say they might have spent, like, I don't know, $250, $300. But then when they go to get a kiss, the woman says, no, Brian, I don't see you that way. I see you more as a friend. I'm sorry. I tell women, see, like, okay, let's say that was you. Let's say you went out on 5 dates with some guy named Brian, and you knew from the get-go you wasn't going to give him no pussy, but you wanted them free meals. So he takes you out on as many as 5 dates, and then at the end of the 5th day, he tries to tongue kiss you, and you kind of do that classic lean back with your head like, no.
Yeah.
He's like, what's up, Melody? I took you out on 5 dates. You ain't gonna give me. No, Brian, I don't look at you like that. I look at you more like a play brother, Here's what I tell women. In your face, this is what he's going to do. He's going 90% chance he's going to be polite. Now, some guys might, let their nigga side come out. But a lot of guys, who consider themselves gentlemen, he might say, "Oh, okay, I understand. I'm disappointed, but I understand, Melly." He's like, "Okay, have a good evening." Now, if I'm that Brian's boy, if I'm one of his ace boom coons, let's say that happened at, I don't know, 11:30 p.m. I'm going to get a call at midnight. "Al, what's up?" I'm like, "Yo, man, I was actually just about to fall asleep. What's up, man?" "Man, check this out, man. There's this fine bitch I went out named Melody, right? Like real, she hottie, sexy and shit. And like I took her out to like the 5 of the nicest restaurants, man. You know what I'm saying? Like five different 5-star restaurants, right?
Mm-hmm.
This chick, I go in for the kiss. She said, "No, I didn't get you to play brother." Man, I wanted to curse her fucking ass out, man. I was like, "That bitch, fuck that bitch, Melody." And this is what I do that makes my friends mad. And that's in there. What I would say is, "Well, Brian, did you tell her straight up even before the first date that you wanted to fuck her?" "Well, no, man. I felt like that would be too crass and, too forward, too disrespectful." "Oh, man, fuck that, man. You needed to tell Melody before you even took her out on her first date that, yo, I think you sexy. I want to fuck the shit out you. What's your thoughts about that?" And get a gauge on her interest in you, man. But now you done spent all this money, all this time. You took her out on 5 dates, and now you get ready to jack off thinking about what it would have been like to fuck Melody.
Mm.
And
Wait,
then
let me just get Game Changer's perspective on that. What are your thoughts on what ARC is saying?
No, I definitely agree with you. Like the amount of time you invest determines if you're a simp or not, especially if you don't get it. I mean, I know how ARC feels about mode one, and I think that it's definitely a tool in the tool belt. But even if you're using mode two, if she makes it clear at a certain point that it's not going to happen, and she's stringing you along, then yeah, you're being used as a simp. Now, as far as this online dating, mating, or just general online interaction, that does give women a lot of leeway to lead dudes on. And they do spend like a lot more time leading them on because they could say, "Oh, well, I live in Michigan and you live in LA, so I would come over, but it's just the distance, but keep inboxing me and keep spending time, energy, and in some cases money, but it's really these are really more what Alan Roger Curry has coined manipulative time wasters. So yeah, once you find yourself in that category, you definitely have become a simp.
Oh, well, now that well, I have to change, kind of, sort of, at least change the answer to the question you asked me earlier, Melody.
Mhm.
Well, your question was, have I ever had a woman call me a simp? And I said, no, I have
Yeah.
not. But as far as have I ever exhibited behavior that would be, there was at least one woman, and I admit it actually in my book, The Possibility of Sex. If anybody owns that book, there's a woman I refer to as Rachel, not her real name. But see, I think we discussed this in the one-on-one interview. In addition to physical sex, I highly enjoy phone sex. And I've been paid for it, actually. I used to be a phone sex gigolo at one point.
Right. Wait, I'm sorry, ARC, real quick. Jay Mata, say something.
Hey, Melody. How you doing?
Okay, good. Okay, I'm sorry, ARC. You can continue.
So there was at least one woman, and to the Game Changer's point about the distance, we were never in the same city. She was, well, when we first met, we were, but then shortly after that, we were always in 2 different cities.
Mm-hmm.
And where I allowed her to suck me in is that she was always game to indulge in phone sex. That was the positive. She was always game to indulge in phone, and she was, we always had fun when we had phone sex. But whenever I would talk about us, getting together in person, some excuse always came up. And so I got into this cycle where she would give me an excuse, then I would get pissed and I would leave alone for, say, 6 months, 9 months, a year, sometimes even a little over a year. Then we would start talking again. We'd have a few episodes of phone sex. Then I'd be like, okay, yeah, we need to get together, in this city. And she'd be like, well. Then I stopped speaking to her again for like 6 months, 9 months, a year, 15 months, whatever. And then what would always end up drawing me back in is she would end up calling me and saying, "Oh, I'm horny. I want to play with my pussy for you. I want to play with my pussy for you." And once I would hear her say that, I'd be like, "Yeah, play with that pussy, bitch. Play with that pussy." And she'd be like, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, I'm playing with this pussy." Then she would come, I would come. And then again, but every time I would throw out the suggestion of us either meeting up in a neutral city or me coming to visit her coming to visit me, it was always like, "Well, I'm busy with this, and well, I'm kind of seeing someone, and well." And then finally, it was like 2011. I just finally just told off. I said, "Nope." She called me, wanted to have phone sex one day. I said, "Nope, ain't gonna happen. Not this time." And she was in shock. She couldn't believe. She's like, "You're really turning me down for phone sex?" And I said, "Yeah, because you ain't, you know." Now there's some women I don't mind strictly having phone sex with, and I have strictly had phone sex with. But if I'm talking to a woman, if I'm having phone sex with a woman that I also want to fuck, then at some point I ain't cool with that. Anyway, I mentioned her. I told the story I just basically told. I told that in Possibly Insane. I said that was probably the one time where I allowed a manipulative time waster to get the best of me. But again, her hook or her bait was good phone sex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's a crazy story.
Well, I mean, it seems to me, and I would like, if you agree with this, let me know, ARC, that a lot of women are using the internet as a buffer for, the possibility of sex. It's easier to sell because of the distance involved. Like you meet a woman in, I'm in California, so let's just say on the East Coast, let's say Atlanta or something like that. She can pull that stuff a lot easier because of the distance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like
I would agree with that.
yeah, like face to face, you give it a certain amount of time, and then you can say, okay, this chick is playing. She lives down the street, and it's been 2 weeks, and there not only is there not any sex, but there isn't any. She did the lean back thing that you described earlier when I tried to kiss her, so you can instantly cut it off. Online, it's a whole different ball game, and I think that a lot of women are using the tactics that you described. Possibility of sex, manipulative time waster. They're using that more effectively online, because I've seen guys online who create chat rooms and dedicate like 12-hour chat sessions just so he can talk to a particular chick. I know it's corny, but that's what he does almost every day.
Wow.
And yeah, and that's because of the distance between them. She can always just dangle the carrot from thousands of miles away to this dude.
Oh yeah, I definitely I touch on that in my updated version of Possibly Says called No Free Attention. I touch on how the internet, yeah, has definitely changed the game, and particularly in respect to what you were just talking about for women. Yeah, that distance. I mean, but what is also exposed, sadly, on our end, on our gender side, is man, there's so many. Like, did you hear about that woman who was some kind of like singer or something, and she put out something on what was it? Was it Tinder? And all these guys showed up thinking they was gonna have a chance to hook up with her. And she was.
Oh, you're talking about pineapples.
Is that her name?
No. Before
Oh
that, Melody,
no.
there was a woman who did it. I think it was Times Square.
No, it was Union Square.
Oh, Union
Oh,
Square.
okay.
Dude,
Yeah.
So they actually showed up in person, and it
Yeah.
was hundreds of guys.
Wow. Now, are those guys considered simps?
Yep.
No,
I would think so.
Not if they didn't spend any money on her, I would say no.
any guy that stayed would be considered a simp. So yeah, I guess so. The guys that stayed, but no, I don't think you're simping if you just meet a girl online and you show up to meet her, and there's a bunch of other guys there. Like, but if you're still interested, I would say that you're simping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the pineapples guys, for instance. Remember on pineapples when the girl was like, "No, pineapples, I don't want to talk to you. Pineapples, I don't want to talk to you," and then other guys kept calling in. Were they simps because they were calling in?
Maybe that's kind of a gray area in my opinion and my understanding of the definition because it's not really simping to shoot your shot, which is what a lot of these guys were doing. It is when it's been made clear that this woman is not really serious. She's not looking for a lover on the Pineapple Show. I think at a certain point, it's been made clear that she's just doing it for attention. And if you come to that understanding and you still pursue, then yeah, definitely you would be considered a simp. So it's a 50-50. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah, Melody, as I alluded to earlier, I don't think any man is a simp for making a one-time effort to
yeah,
connect with a woman. But
Yeah.
definitely if you're making repeated efforts, like I use that scenario with you, like the guy took you out on 5 dates. So he was making yeah, when a guy, but see, what I argue with as it relates to my Mo one approach is that the only way a manipulative time waster can play you like that is if you're being vague and ambiguous when it comes to your true desires, interests, and intentions. If you're making your sexual desires, interests, and intentions known in a very clear-cut, upfront, specific, straightforward manner, how can a woman, like I used to work with some women in Hollywood, and they used to break that down to me like it was a science. They basically confirmed what I already knew. They would tell me, they said, Alan, your Mo one approach, we can't play guys like you. And I would be like, yeah, you damn right you could. Because they would share stories with me. Some of the worst simping stories I ever heard probably in my life and what partially inspired my book, The Possibility of Sex, was those women I used to work with at like Paramount. I had a long-term 10% at Paramount one time. I had one at 20th Century Fox, and at least one or two other movie studios, TV studios. And for some reason, I would always end up in departments with these women who looked like Victoria's Secret models. And you would almost ask yourself, like, why the fuck does she even have a job? And but yeah, they would come back usually right after lunch. These women would share stories with their girlfriends, with their female coworkers, and they would. A couple examples would be one woman would come back from lunch. She'd say, "Hey, you remember that guy, that semi-nerdy guy named Herbert who was flirting with me?" And another one would say, "Yeah, he's been paying my car note for the last 4 months, and I haven't even tongue kissed him yet." And I would be like, I would just yell out like, "What the fuck? Just get out of here!" And these women, these were like top tier. They weren't getting just a free lunch at Applebee's. These women had guys paying their car notes, their rent or mortgage, buying them expensive clothing, and they hadn't fucked those guys or sucked those guys' dick. And I would be like, how is this even possible? And that's when they basically explain what I refer to as the possibility of saying. They's like, Alan, you don't seem to know your own gender. See, all you got to do is make a guy feel like his lucky day is coming someday in the future. And if he's really desperate for your sexual companionship, he's going to keep doing those things like paying
I
your.
agree with that. Hmm.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
That's a fact, ARC. You speaking nothing but facts. Like,
true.
ARC,
True.
would you?
But they say flirt a little. They said smile a little, flirt a lot, and make him think that he can have it. So yeah, definitely it. But let me ask one question. I know the brother wanted to speak. I just have this one
yeah, we're
question.
gonna go with Jay Monta after you. Go ahead.
One question. Would you tell Herbert if you had access to him?
Oh,
My fictional name I made up, Herbert.
Yeah, the
Oh,
name that he
Herbert.
made about the simp and to the Victoria's Secret model. Like, if you had access to Herbert, would you pull Herbert aside and say, or would you just give him a copy of your book, or like what would you do? You're talking to Herbert.
Oh, I thought you were addressing that to Melody. Oh, if you're addressing me, yeah,
me too.
I would definitely I would tell him about my books, particularly The Possibility of Sex, or now probably more so No Free Attention. I'll say, yo, dude, you got to read my book, man. You're getting played. But here's the thing. Some guys, not too many, but I've done that in the past. And some guys still, they had, as they say, learn the hard way. One story I've told a few times on a few videos, I tell it again real quick. I had a guy, close friend, Let's call him Kevin. And Kevin had met this woman that was drop dead, because I did meet her. She was drop dead gorgeous. Just, physically, she just no lower than a 9 on most men's 1 to 10 scale. But he met her and he started whining and dining her, taking her out to dinner. And one day we were just casually talking. I said, hey, man, I ain't trying to get in your business or be nosy, but I said, man, I know she's been spending a lot of time with this woman, man. Have y'all bumped uglies yet? He said, oh, man, no, man. She ain't like that, man. See, that's a mistake. Anytime I hear a guy say that, he said, man, she ain't like that. She ain't like that kind of girl, man. And I just gave him a, yeah, okay, right. And he said, yeah, man, we just getting to know each other. We hanging out. I said, yeah, but you spend a lot of time with it and you spend a lot of money on it. You taking her out to all these nice restaurants, man. But you ain't, I got a gut feeling she gonna end up playing your ass. And he had a very adverse reaction to that. He's like, oh man, see, you think you know women all the time, man. You don't know shit, man. You don't know this woman is class. So then the next significant thing that happened, she asked him to pay for a trip to Cancun. And when he described the trip, he first was saying we. He said, yeah, it's gonna be me, her, and a couple of girlfriends. I said, wait a minute, repeat to me exactly what she said to you. And when he repeated to me, it didn't include him. I said, I don't think you realize they're not including you, bro. She wants you to pay for a trip for her and to her girlfriends that you're not even invited on. I said, you need to clarify that. Sure enough, he clarified that. And she wasn't invited. Now I'm gonna pause right there. There's one more part to this. Now, Game Changer, any other guy, at that point, wouldn't that be a fucking huge red flag for you?
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Yep.
Okay. I would think for the average guy, that would be right there. If nothing else, a huge red flag. He still was like, well, I feel a little uncomfortable that I'm not invited, but hey, man, I know when she get back, I'm gonna be in there, man. I mean, we gonna be wrapped his fingers around like we gonna be close, thick as thieves, and all this. Here's the key. Here's the key of this story. I think most of us on this panel hate when we have a situation with a close friend, relative, where we're easily in a position where we can say, I told you so. It's almost heartbreaking, but at the same time, it gives us vindication because we knew we were right. I told him at that moment, I said, bro, Kevin, I said, this is what's about to happen. She's going to go on this trip to Cancun with 2 of her girlfriends. She's going to get some dick while she's down there. And then within 5 to 7 days after she comes back, she's going to suggest you to have what's referred to as the talk. And she's going to say, Kevin, I said, she's going to start off with flattery. She's going to say, Kevin, you're a wonderful human being. You're a great man. You're going to make some woman a fantastic boyfriend, a husband. But
They love that line. Mm-hmm.
Girl, did she say the N-word? You're so nice.
Melody, I saw you chuckling. I once did this impersonation of the talk in front of a workshop in Chicago that was like 3/4 women. I had them falling out because they knew I had them down. But anyway, going back to Kevin, yeah, I told her, I said, man, she gonna start off with flattery, but then she's gonna ultimately say something along the lines of, honestly, Kevin, though, I don't feel like we have the sexual sparks that I'm looking for, and I would prefer we just maintain a platonic friendship. He laughed at that and said I was off the mark. He said, man, Alan, with all due respect, man, you don't know this woman. You trying to treat her like some women you've dealt with, and blah, 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 blah. I said, okay. What happens? What happens about roughly just under a week after she comes back from Cancun? He calls me with that angry cry that men have. When you're angry, but you're on the verge of crying too. It's like, man,
Yeah.
bullshit, man. This is some bullshit, man. I said, calm down, Kevin, man. What happened? Even though I knew deep down what happened. He said, man, but he didn't give me my credit. He said, Alan, man, much I hate to say it, man, you was right, man. Do you know She says to me, "Hey Kevin, I think we need to have a talk." And she started off like flattering me and shit, talking about you gonna make some other woman agree. I was like, "Bitch, shut the fuck up." And she was like, "Why you acting like that, Kevin? You gonna make some other woman, but me and you, I just don't feel that animal attraction to you, and I would rather just be friends." I was like, I stuck out my finger, I said, "Fuck you, bitch." But I said, "Kevin, man, you can't really be. I told you all this. I told you this was coming, man. You didn't listen to your boy. Why
He
not?"
didn't want to listen. He didn't want to stop simping. You tried to warn him.
I tried to get him to stop simping, but he was so enamored. Every guy on this panel knows it. One of our weaknesses, at least at times, for some guys more than others, but plain and simply, a lot of guys when they're dealing with a woman that they're very enamored by their physical beauty and sex appeal, it's hard for them to think right. It's hard for them to stop themselves from something. Like if a guy is dealing with a woman that he's only lukewarm attracted to physically and sexually, he can usually quickly get a grip on himself. But when he's dealing with a woman that he thinks is just, fine as hell, drop dead gorgeous, super duper sexy, and this woman again, she was a looker, as they say. He So anyway,
Yeah.
it was sad. I would say he probably spent I'm going on a minimum, man. He probably spent about $2,500 on this woman and didn't get
Oh, wow.
no pussy, didn't get his dick sucked.
So, wait, let me ask you this. Does that make a guy a simp if he don't get pussy?
Oh, for sure.
Spending money?
Yeah, if you spend that type of money and all that time and money, and you don't end up getting no pussy. By my definition, most people's that was part of the original definition of a simp. Is a guy who invested a significant amount of time and money into a woman, but never ended up fucking that woman or at minimum getting his dick sucked.
Right. So you're saying that's why mode 1 approach is so important, because you're not taking her out spending all this money buying her things
Nah,
without getting it.
no, I don't take
That's
women
why it's
on
so
dates for
important.
casual sex ever, like ever.
Right.
And that's tripped a lot of my friends out over the years. But I have a hardline stance about that. I only go out on dates with women that I look at as potential long-term girlfriend material or future wife material, like my wife.
Mm-hmm.
But if I know ahead of time, sometimes you don't know. Me and Game Changer have actually had that minor debate about it, because everybody one time he made the point that sometimes you meet a woman, you don't know which direction you want to go, which is true. But most of the women I had casual sex, I knew from the time I met them that that's all I wanted from them was casual sex. And so I just told them that up front. I didn't offer to take them out to dinner or to a movie or none of that shit. I just let them know I wanted to fuck in one way or another. And either we ended up fucking or they rejected me and I left them alone and moved on to the next woman.
And that worked. That's
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me just hear from Jay Monta. Hi, Jay Monta.
Hey, Melody. Game
Hey.
changer, Alan.
Hey,
Alan,
Monta.
Hey, bro.
Man, Alan, that story about that dude girl you were getting it in with and talking on the phone just messed me up. I had to come up like, this ain't right.
Oh, you talking about the woman I kept being drawn in by phone sex?
No, the one that
I
was
just told.
the one earlier. We were saying that her boyfriend called and she went straight back to business after saying I love you.
Oh, that story. Yeah, man, dude.
See, that messed me up.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That messed me up so bad because I was like, I might have done a similar thing. I didn't get all the way there because my conscience was like, I can't do this to this man.
Yeah. Well, here's the good news and bad news. I'll start the bad news is I didn't have that type of epiphany or new sentiment until I was like 38 years old. Between 17 and 37, I probably had sex with about 40 women that were married at the time, engaged to be married at the time, or had a long-term boyfriend. And then roughly around my 38th birthday, I think it was actually right before my 38th birthday, that's when I said I was gonna stop. I felt like you just said, Monda. I said, man, this is wrong. Even though a lot of these guys, I didn't have any social interaction with them, but I just came to the realization. I said, this is wrong to be doing other guys like this. And I felt like I made up for it by sharing my knowledge, wisdom, and insight about the duplicitous nature of women in books like Who Said Again, Possibility of Sex. But yeah, initially when I was younger, though, I ain't gonna lie, I didn't feel bad. My general attitude was like, I don't know that motherfucker.
So you never contacted him about the situation?
No, like that story I told. No, I never contacted that guy.
You see, that's where the same thing. I never contacted the dude about what I did with his girl, but I met the dude and I was just like, dang. And I couldn't really talk to her after that. I was just like, I lost the number. Like, I know what you were gonna do with me, and I know she was doing with other dudes. Like, we worked at the same place, so she would fool around with other dudes there too. I was like, I can't do this. But I think that's just the woman's mating strategy. They're amoral. You get them the resources, they're gonna use it up.
Yeah, a lot of women, and again, I talk about this possibility of sex. There's a lot of women who sadly will connect with a guy and even go as far as to marry a guy just for a combination of his financial provision and his non-sexual attention and companionship. But then they'll cheat on that guy with someone who they feel is more sexually satisfying. And yeah, it's fucked up. I learned a lot. Here's why I don't regret my experience, and I've said this before, because I gained a lot of knowledge and wisdom and insight on how women really operate from those times when I fucked women who were in relationships or who were married. But at the same time, it didn't stop me from, in most cases, criticize. I would criticize those women to their face, though. I would tell them, I say, damn, you're just a no good slut, ain't you? I say, you got a loving husband, but here you are sucking my dick, or here I am fucking you. I'm like, what's that about?
ARC, did that make them want to stop, or did that turn them on?
No, they would criticize me back. They would say, one of the comments I would hear from women, they would say, you're different from other guys I fucked around with. They ain't all analytical and shit. They just enjoy this pussy and then they go about their way. But you be like asking me questions and analyzing my behavior. It's funny because I did end up writing books, but before my books came out, they would say stuff like, why are you doing this? Like, what, you gonna write a book about this shit or something? Like, why you be like analyzing my behavior and shit? I don't like that. Why you do that?
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
this whole
I found women that like that shit, because when I started doing a little interviews and I was saying, look, because I was already a photojournalist, but when I started doing them interviews and I was asking them questions and the sexual questions and the relationship, they were more than happy to that. Oh, you gonna do it anyway? You gonna write a paper? I said, well, I may, but I just want to do just a piece right now and just see what happens with it. I was getting all kind of, hey, I want to participate. And I would ask them all kind of questions. They were telling me all kind of shit. I was writing all this down and recording some of it, but I never ever made a paper out of it or wrote the book. So I just wrote it down. But they actually are glad. The ones that I ran into, because of the fact they knew I was a photojournalist and I was involved with a newspaper and magazines, they were more than happy to talk to me, answer any questions, and some of them even didn't mind taking pictures.
Wait, these were
but they like to do it.
About women that were cheating on their men?
That too, because there was women that had boyfriends and husbands. The ones that were really, say for instance, really tied in. They said, well, don't put my name. Just I put down, okay, so and so A or whatever. But I wouldn't put their name down. But I actually didn't end up doing the paper. I did the rough draft, but I didn't do the final piece. So I made notations by it, and basically I didn't end up writing it.
The funny part about that, the funny part about what you're saying now is, with the new social media age, women don't even care if you out them. They be flaunting it on the internet and everything. Like, they be saying, just because I'm wearing these skimpy outfits, I'm taking these sexy pictures with these guys in a hotel room, doesn't mean I'm effing them. I'm like, dude, use some common sense.
Look, there was a fantasy with a lot of women. And I ran into that. I was shooting the models for the Ebony Fashion Fair, some of the Yves Saint Laurent, some of the other big designers. Shit, some of them women, their fantasy, some of them, not all of them, some of them that it just was getting new into it. They actually had a fantasy getting fucked, getting their clothes off, taking pictures, getting horny. Trust me, I didn't seen it. Cause I'm taking pictures and the women pussies is dripping and I'm like, well, damn. And it was up to me whether I wanted to go through it or not.
I think the simp's downfall is he don't really understand or really doesn't, how do I say it, realize that women are just going to be like that. They're animals too. They get hot. They want to, get it in as much as men do. So when they act like this girl is loyal to me, quote unquote, I mean, you got to take it with a grain of salt most of the time. Because like Alan Rogers and Curry said, these women be playing like they're monogamous, they love you and all this other stuff, but they be sucking a dude off behind the corner store. They don't care. So you have to go in there in a relationship
the last relationship I was in, I actually told the guy that she was gonna fuck around. The woman I was with, she was living with me at the time, and I was showing him an apartment. And I told him, before it's over with, she gonna get at you. Man, that's your girl. I said, no. I'm telling you, I see it before it happens. She ready to get at you. I'm telling you. So then eventually everything started crumbling with us. And lo and behold, she hooked up under him and then took off. And I laughed because I said, hey, I told you. Everybody was like, how the hell? I said, dude, I already knew it because I seen it. I see shit sometimes. It's just the way it is.
I think simps just don't understand that that's the way women's nature is. They're gonna do what they want to do.
Not only that. In their minds, they feel like they could save them. They could be that guy. Most of the time, it starts off. They don't really have much confidence in themselves. They don't have experience with women. Some of them have been outcast. They fantasize them so much, and they looked up a lot of other stuff outside influences that may seem like they give them hope. See, like especially TV and movies and stuff. And when they see that girl they infatuate with, it's just like a movie back, like the rom-coms back in the 90s, especially the 90s and stuff, in the 80s. The nerdy guy wants that hot girl so much, and she's getting with the guy of her dreams, but he's trying to be a jerk. So he came in and doing all this stuff for her so much, tend to be a friend, but deep down inside, he wants to smash and even get with her and stuff. And the sad thing about it is, in some cases, some of those movies, they wind up having sad endings. Some actually do have success, but in reality, it don't work out that. There's always more sad endings behind that. Perfect example of that is like I remember that movie, The Last American Virgin.
Yeah, exactly.
That movie will mess you up.
That's a red pill movie like a motherfucker. I talked about that on one of my videos. I did a whole video about different red pill movies. Yeah, that was almost at the top of the list. Was The Last American. If any guy in the chat room ain't seen that movie, you need to watch that movie. That's a movie that should discourage a lot of men from exhibiting simp-like behavior, because man, he gets crushed at the end. Yeah. Hey, Melody, on a side note, did you ever watch this TV show? Was it called The Divorce Court with the black female?
Yes, I have.
There was this one episode that went viral where, kind of related to your subject title, where this woman wanted to divorce her husband, and the judge was like, well, what's wrong with him? I mean, has he cheated on you? Is he paying his bills? And she didn't have no real criticism of him. Then she finally said, he's just too nice. He's too nice. And the judge ended up admonishing her. She's like, what? That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. She's like, you want to divorce your husband because he's too nice. She's like, yeah, he's too nice.
Yeah. I remember that. You know what's crazy? A lot of modern black women don't like nice guys. They like the bad boys.
I think it comes down to what you consider nice guy in a modern context is a man who treats her relatively well, like
Exactly.
doesn't want to badmouth her, like be a very aggressive because the way our community has socialized nowadays, you have to be almost to the point you're going to knock this woman out before she understands that don't do that. Because women back in the
Exactly.
day, from my understanding, used to be like, you don't do this to a man because that's dangerous. Nowadays, women be trying to slap them, hit them. I'm like, this guy is 200 plus pounds, 3 feet taller than you, and looking down at you like you're going to slap him. I'm like,
Yeah.
any animal king.
Women like to be choked, thrown around, yelled at. A lot of women like that. Nobody wants somebody really nice, um, bringing them flowers. I know a woman who said she don't like getting flowers from her man. Like she'll throw them in his face. I'm like, really? It's
But
so
you know
weird,
what,
bro.
Melody? Melody, you gotta watch one thing though, because of the way these women with this Me Too bullshit just started up. You get to slapping and choking the wrong one, and then they gonna put charges on you. That's
Mhm.
the only goddamn thing now, because there was a time back in the 70s, early 80s, where women played that game where in order for you to get the pussy, you gotta take it. See, I come up in that era. Now,
Oh,
shit, you gotta watch it because you don't know which one will like that shit and which one won't. You got to
That,
be careful. Don't even play
that's
that
true.
game, even though they used to do that shit back then.
let me
How,
be
how
clear
how
about
old are you,
something.
brother? Out of curiosity.
65.
Oh, damn, you older than me. Yeah, I was wondering what your age was because yeah, see, that's funny you say that. I don't talk about it too much on my videos, but I talked about it with a few guys. I remember one example what you just talked about. I remember when I was in college, I was dating this woman, and normally, honestly, I would just pretty much take the pussy, for lack of a better way of putting it. But when this one particular day, I was, you could say, almost being too much of a nice guy. I kind of like asked her for the pussy. And she gave me this frown look. And I said, "What's up, baby?" She said, I said, "What does that mean?" She said, don't ever be weak like that in my presence again. I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "I'm your girlfriend. You're supposed to always just take this pussy. Don't ever do anything representative of asking me nicely for the pussy. You grab me and you take this pussy." But
Mhm.
to your point, Chow Hound, see, back in the 70s and 80s, you could get away with that. But starting with the 90s, that became known as date rape.
Mhm.
Yep,
Woman,
you're
if you
right.
just take the pussy, a woman could say, "Oh, he date raped me."
Let me be clear about something too. Like the millennials at the like lower on age range and the Gen Zs, they are not on that time anymore. Like most Gen Zs don't give a crap about that anymore. You know, there was like a social contract we had between each other. Like, hey, you do this, I do this, and we try to work it together. Like women gonna do their dirt in the dark, but at least they were classy enough to try to hide it. Nowadays, they don't give no crap. This woman be out here thoughting everybody knows it. Your mama know it, your sister know it. They be telling you, they have screenshots. And these guys still out here be simping. I'm like, not mass majority, but most young dudes don't like they understand the game better than most women. They ruthless with it.
Women, I'm gonna tell you something. If you show any kind of sign of niceness, weakness, women not gonna respect it, and they're gonna run over you. Unless you run into somebody that can respect the niceness and all that, you got to be hard and firm, because that's the only way they go. That's some of them. That's the only thing they're gonna respect. And some of them come straight out direct and tell them where you coming from. Either gonna be here this way or that way. Some of them actually can deal with that.
But it
They can
comes down
deal
to
with it.
content of the man's character too, because most Gen Zs they see that they were raised in the whore culture. They were raised in women getting the bag and not being apologetic about it. So there's like, why would I be doing all this simp crap and compromise my character? So they nowadays just like, I know what I'm on, I know where I stand. So it is what it is. They're gonna smash when they can, but they ain't gonna like be pretending these women are angels. Most of these women be smashing since 12 years old and acting like they never had it in their life, you know?
Some of the young brothers told me, they say, "Child, check this out. You know, the women in my generation, which is the Z generation, You know, they interested in smashing, getting their high on, get their fuck on, and getting their money on. That's it. That's all they interested in.
Facts.
That's it.
And I see that. Seen it.
And this message out here now is like this women waiting to like 30 plus years old to actually try to find a husband and stuff. They don't even they're not waiting for kids. They get the kids by the people who be slawing out here. You know, but they be trying to find quote unquote husband to actually care when they don't even know how to be taken care of. They don't know how to cook a meal for a man who just came from like a 12-hour work shift. They don't know nothing. All they know is like, give me your money, treat me right all the time. I ain't gonna treat you that well. I'm gonna treat you like these simps back in the day. And if you don't do it, I'm gonna divorce you and leave you. But that's just a younger millennials like falling into that range. Like the girls be young or younger than that, man.
There's a lot of young ladies that's millennials and Z generations. They're looking at older guys. And the reason why they're doing that is because they look at it some kind of stability, like having a roof over their head, sort of like something stable where they ain't got to get put out and be out in the street or struggling to have a roof over their head. So that's a very, very easy shot. The younger brothers that seem to have their stuff together, it seems like they gonna fuck this, fuck that, fuck this. So they're looking at it as, I'm not gonna fuck around and get be catching something out of this. Because I done talked to some of them that say, but I'd rather get with an older guy, at least, even though there may be some other issues. I know I ain't got to worry about this, and I ain't got to worry about that, and I ain't got to worry about that. That's gonna be taken care of. I said, well, there's always trade-offs in some cases. There's always trade-offs.
Yeah, I mean, the younger dudes, to be honest, they have a better opportunity to get money and build themselves up with the tech nowadays. If they're smart, like you don't even have to go to college. Like you just get a trucking thing. You can still go to college, do an online school, get yourself, you're out of debt quicker. Like there are so many ways for these younger dudes to get themselves up, but women can't qualify what these younger dudes are a good man is because they ain't got nobody in their corner spitting games. Like most dudes see these simps and we try to help them. We try to tell them like, hey man, she gonna use you up, man. You ain't getting nothing out of that. But they, until they go through that fire, they get burned one good time, then they start to open their eyes.
Well, you got some guys that don't know how to actually catch women. You know, I had to tell my little nephew what to do, and he went to Gremlin and got to be a fool with it. And I told him, don't get carried away with this shit because this shit gets you in trouble if you use it a certain way and then get carried away. And then you flaunt that shit, the motherfuckers gonna be getting mad. And sure enough, he got into a lot of shit down at Gremlin. Had a scholarship for baseball and everything. Got down there fucking around with all them different women. He said, I wasn't trying to run after him. I said, dude, it's the energy and shit. I was telling you how to use that shit. You end up using it. And look what ended up happening. The guys got jealous. You start getting the fights and shit. Eventually, you got kicked out of Gremlin because of that bullshit. And you didn't protect yourself accordingly. And I told him about that shit. So it depends. You got if you pulling something that's actually pulling a certain kind of energy, you got to know how to handle that shit. You got to know how to handle that shit because them girls, once that shit, when women are drawn to you, man, they all kind of wouldn't be drawn to you. I didn't experience the shit. I know. That's why I'm talking about it. They'll come at you all kind of different ways. And cats will be like, man, like one time, a woman didn't want to get these guys a number. I sit up there, wrote a little note, slipped it to her. She turned around, get a number. These motherfuckers, with the old man, the old dude is the one that wanted to snatch the shit out of my hand. How'd you get the number? How you get this? I'm like, dude, if you ain't got no game, I can't tell you. Your ass older than I am. Shoot, there's nothing I could do about that. But people get jealous because they don't have the suave, the air, the way to put it out, that energy. A lot of guys don't have that, don't even know how. And when they see
the fact of that and everything, most men, I can't even say most, maybe it is, but they will never exhibit how it feels like to have a woman lust after them. When you got that woman that lusts after you, that's that power you got over that woman just by being you, whatever, your presence, your masculine energy, how you talk, and she lusts after you. Oh my gosh. Just like the preachers in the church. How them females,
man, that's one time when I was at assistant pastor at one ministry, man, that's the one time I'm telling you, my dick would not go down. It stayed hard. I had to step down eventually because it's like them women was throwing the pussy at me. I was like, God dang! And then the associate pastor was trying to get me married to head pastor, which is a woman, and they were to validate the fact that there was issues with women being the head pastors. That's why they was one of the reasons why they was bringing me in. So they want me to marry this particular pastor, so that way they'll say, we have a man here. He preaches, he does that, and she like sort of, even though she's the head, she'll step back. And I'm like, oh no, I can't do this. I can't. I'm not marrying her. I'm not. No, I had to say, hey, I can't do this. The lust, my shit, my fire's burning. Oh heck no, I can't do that. I gotta step down. I stepped down because them younger motherfuckers, they were coming up titties and everything. And I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be steadfast in the mission. I said, hey, instead of slipping and being a hypocrite like a lot of those pastors do, I stepped down. I said, I'm not gonna be a hypocrite. If I'm a fuck, I'm not gonna be in the ministry fucking. I'll be outside the ministry fucking if I'm gonna do the fucking. And that's what I did. I stepped down. As soon as I stepped down, I started fucking.
You see,
that was it.
See, I contribute the problem nowadays with the younger generation. It's like they've been exposed to the dark side of femininity to such an extent. It was like, why would I deal with this? So now they going up. They just like getting their money up. They actually ain't like tricking like that. They actually just paying girls to smash and get out. And when they really want something like long-term relationship, they be trying to go to overseas or something, or get somebody from Mexico, with different culture, because most of our younger women nowadays are like in the bad culture. Like they're gonna use this guy up. And unlike the older generation who understood the social dynamics between women, like, hey, you're gonna be trading something at the end of the day. These guys are like, I'm not gonna be trading with this type of woman because I know the dark shit she does, so I ain't got no rose-colored glasses to help me navigate. Like Alan said, that if Alan told that dude that why she said, I love you, she was sucking him off, I don't think they will be together to this day.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
Okay. Let me just read this super chat real quick. Thank you, Game Changer. He says, great build in the clouds. I appreciate you coming up, Game Changer. Thank you. And thank you to ARC. I appreciate you coming up as well. Okay, you can continue.
I mean, I was just saying, like, these simps nowadays I don't think younger men, like
matter of
Gen
fact,
Zs, are getting like this simp.
The thing is to look at what this is a term that started with this is a term that started with pimping, believe it or not. The simp shit started in the pimping arena. That's where the term come out of. A lot of people don't realize that. Because the thing is, you got the pimps standing the way they were doing, and they would even tell when other pimps were simping because of the fact that the way they were pulling the women or what they were doing to try to get the women.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where, and I had to think about this. I said, man, I remember being out in the street, and they were talking about simps out there. And I'm talking about going back some years out there on Hollywood Boulevard. And they use that term because of the certain people that come up to try to be pimps, but they wasn't making it. They end up simping out. That's what they was calling simping out. That's where your term simp came from.
I thought that was a new term.
Nope, it's an old term. I had to go back and think about this. I said, wait a minute, I remember this term being used when I was out there in the street when I was doing the pimping and stuff.
It's relatively it changes over time, but most people hear it in different contexts.
Yeah, it comes from the word simpleton. That's what I heard it from. Yeah.
Yeah, but it came out of the pimp. It came out of the pimping because old brother that does the pimping, that speaks on YouTube. I can't think of his name right now. He could probably vouch for that, huh?
Saint and Sinner, I think.
Sinful Pete. I bet you he could tell you about it because he'll know. He can tell you about it. The way how that term came out. It came out of the pimping game.
So can a husband be a simp? Because earlier we were talking about Russell Wilson.
It's actually good if a husband's a simp because he really loves his wife.
Husband, yeah, I mean, it depends how he acts in the marriage. Perfect example is Boyce Watkins. He's a damn simp.
Right, and they say Russell Wilson, But is that a bad thing to
No, no,
treat
no.
your, you know what
Simping
I mean?
for a husband to a wife is good. Like you should simp for each other. Like a simp husband is going to be not probably going to cheat, going to take his
You got
wife
some
out.
people that disagree with that.
I mean,
I'm just saying there are some people that would disagree with that, but it is what it is.
I would say this with their disagreement. I'm like, if you're both simping for each other, that's going to be a beautiful relationship. But most of the time,
No,
one person's a simp, the other
I
person's just
disagree with
using them.
that. Because one thing about simping is that you're technically trading in your beliefs, you're compromising your whole you know masculinity in ways and everything about yourself to please someone that don't want you back. It's not being reciprocated. That's what
But
actually a simp is.
but Mel, he talking about in a marriage though, not outside of that or leaving. He's talking about in a marriage.
No, remember, there's a lot of sexless marriage. People marry for wrong reasons, also too, and stuff.
Well, here's the thing: sexless marriage might not be a bad thing if you're going in there for a generation, building your wealth or something like that of that nature. But if you
If
like,
you've been married, like I said, most people get married for the wrong reasons and don't find out till years later. Like I said, you get females that marry a guy because he's just a provider, but he's happy he just got a woman by his side. But like I said, those how affairs happen also too. Females be having affairs on guys like that all the time, like crazy. She'll
But
get
there's a lot of those relationships, Mel, that are based on survival, if you want to put it that way, where a woman got with a man for surviving, so it'll be easier. Look, my buddy just told me his wife, and they married, they cool. He runs a house, but then his wife sometimes steps in, so they do their thing back and forth. He just got through telling me 2 days ago. He said, "Man, my wife went to the store. Man, everything went up. We spent $1,000 on food." And see that right there, I'm gonna tell you, that issue right there in itself is gonna have some of these women thinking, look, I need a man, I need somebody. Because I
what's real
can't do
funny
this
about
shit
that?
by myself.
I know back in the day, at least where I was going to country and stuff, my people used to grow their own vegetables and stuff, but I don't know why people don't do it nowadays. I'm like, you get some vegetables, you learn how to garden a little, so you can survive, so you won't have to
A,
do all this stuff. But people just
a lot of that has been lost because you got Kevin Samuels talk about Big Mama. Okay, we can go back to Big Mama, Grandma, Auntie, whatever. It goes back. You got a lot of them that did all of this. They don't do it. When they died, who's teaching these young ladies how to really cook, how to really even do some good greens.
I don't understand why
Hell,
women gays are so angry about when a guy says he want her to cook or know how to clean, because you live there too. It makes no sense to me. Like, what you gonna eat? Fast food all
Wait,
your life?
wait, what did you say? You said a man should know how to cook and clean too?
Yeah, men know how to cook and clean, like the younger generation, because that's how they were raised. Like, you think your mama ain't gonna tell you to clean up, help you clean on Sunday? They know how to do it, but we understand that if you're doing roles in a household, like there are some roles that help each other. It's a partnership. If you can't deal with a partnership, like here's still, you take care of the inside, I take care of the outside. If there's something breaks down, I'll handle it or something like that. That was a simple contract, but I don't understand
Right.
why people can't even understand that.
Yeah, I think a man should be outside. Like you said, a woman should be inside. I don't think a man, if he has a wife or a girlfriend, I don't think he should be in the kitchen.
And the
I
man,
think,
man knows how to cook too. It's like he might want a steak. That's what he likes to cook himself. He might cook a steak better than you. He just cooked a steak for you
well,
guys one time.
well,
When a
he can
man
cook
cooks,
sometimes, but not all the time. He shouldn't always submit to a woman like, okay, I'm going to be the cook. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. No, that's her role, in my opinion.
I mean, that's just a general statement. Some people, it's a agreement. So if you get in a relationship, he might love cooking. She might love doing yard work. You just have to speak about it. But we
Mm-hmm.
understand that we have a partnership. What you're good at, what I'm good at, we try to come together and make it better and easier for both of us. But when
Mm-hmm.
we hear this, we hear like women say, I don't need to cook, I don't need to clean, I don't need to do nothing. You just be happy I'm in your presence. And I'm like, you are basically another bill to me and virtually useless except for the slaw. And you know what? I can buy some slaw because most girls who sell it in a reasonable place, they have cleaner and know how to use it better than you.
See,
You a
this
That's
dead lady.
exactly.
Just
the main
sitting
problem.
there
This is
doing
one of the
nothing.
main problems right here and everything. You're thinking of a marriage as a partnership. No, I'm manager, your assistant. They're not
Hmm.
partners.
No, they
That's
are
the
kind of
problem.
partners in the business. You think about it,
Even
because you're a manager.
but
There's a
I don't see
business of
my
marriage.
wife as a partner. There's manager that have the head last say so overall. I hire you as the assistant. That doesn't mean a partnership. Partnership when we equal. We're not equals. That's the problem right there. You're thinking as a wife as a partner. No, you're not equals. We both have our roles. Just like a business. We both have our job titles. I'm manager. She's assistant manager. She's supposed to assist me, not be equal to me. Like that.
Mel, I'm gonna throw this at you. This is an old school thing that my grandfather taught me. And it was interesting the way he put it. I'm like, I was trying to figure it out, but as I got older, I started understanding. He said the man is supposed to provide the household. The woman is supposed to provide for the household.
Bingo.
So that might be exactly what you're talking about in a different set of words, though.
Yeah, but the
But no,
younger
that's
generations being conditioned to like they're supposed to be provided everything, and women, I don't even understand how they a woman's supposed to, like they said, help you. Like you don't even know how to do half the stuff I know. I know how to do your job in this partnership better than you do nowadays, and I'm like, I don't even see how relationships work out. And you can see it in the social dynamic between these younger kids. They ain't getting babies. They ain't getting married. All they do is slawing and keep it moving.
But see, that's the problem right there. I'm keep hearing you say partnership. Get that out your head. Not a partnership. Just like Child said, back in his day, man provide the house. Woman supposed to assist in the house to provide you peace and easy because you're out there trying to make money and pay for the house and build so she can maintain it and stuff. We both have different job roles. It's your job technically before you get married also too. It's your job to vet the woman and stuff. And all that actually been seen before y'all got married. And that's what problem a lot of these marriages out these days. They know a lot of red flags like crazy
I
out there.
actually think it's easier to vet women nowadays because they are so into social
We
media.
got it out. We got all the secrets is putting out like crazy now. We technically know a woman's game. All this stuff been been repeated multiple times in this space. We'll say the same thing more than 3-5 times over and over. We're rotating it and stuff. So all the information is out there and stuff like that. It's just now guys got to apply it now and stuff. Everything. Matter last night, did y'all see Kevin Samuels show last night? There was a dude on there. He's doing Men's Week. There was a dude on there who, he actually quit his job, tried to start up a business, and he think his girlfriend's gonna still be there for him and everything. Like, you ain't got no job right now. You're trying to start a business now, and you think your girlfriend's gonna be around? He's gonna
You see,
tolerate.
What was the result? What was the result of that, Mel?
Huh?
What was the result of that?
Oh, when he called in, that's what he told that side of the story. Now, I already knew what's going to happen in future reference. Like, he called in, wanted to ask some advice. He said he quit his job. He's in Texas. He quit his job and wanted to start up a business. It's not even fully established yet, and he's in a relationship. I think he's living with his girlfriend and everything.
oh, this guy is a fool.
Exactly. She's going to tolerate it for like I give it 90 days and stuff. When there's no money coming in like that. Oh yeah, that relationship.
Look, here's the thing about that right there. That shows bad management skills because you don't quit your job and you have little income and you're living in Texas. That's an expensive place to live. So if I was a woman, I'm like, so he telling me he wants to do something. He doesn't have the foundation. He doesn't have the business plan. He doesn't have the equipment, nothing. But he's going to quit. How he's going to raise money for that business? Most people who are entrepreneurs are smart. They're going to keep working and build their business until they can get to a reasonable level. But I don't. This is
Bad decision making first, then bad management second.
That's why
so
we keep
that's two
speaking
strikes.
about how we try to encourage men. Technically, you got to be in the position to hire your wife to work for you and stuff. That's the power move you need to have. When I make that much money in my business in that level, then I go look for a wife. Then I got the mouth to even hire my wife. You know what? I don't want you to work for this man no more. You work for me.
And the caveat is this: if you're a man and you're working like crazy hours just to provide 12, 13, 15, getting those hours up, you have as a modern man, what the culture is nowadays, you have to come in there knowing that she might go and get slaughtered out on the side, but as long as she's not disrespectful and you don't see it, you're okay. Because if you find out that she's been slaughtering while you've been working that hard, you got to become, you can't get over emotional. Some of these guys be getting so emotional, like crying and yelling, like, you did this to me when I do this. Like, yeah, she's human. She's gonna do what she's gonna do. So if you find out she's gonna do what she's gonna do, you have a choice to make. Like you said, you're the manager. Are you gonna fire her because she's been bad for business, or has she been doing business that's helpful? You know.
Exactly. I read Boss Man's comment. Exactly. Most men supposed to try to be great in his younger years to recap the benefits of his life and stuff. I know we hear some a lot of the old school guys older than us who think that's, I kind of had a debate with one of the guys like that, but he failed to realize that the times has changed. It's not like yours. Back in his days, it was easy to hook people up when they was younger like that. Most likely we was in small communities and community. We was a community back then, so we could get together and court each other easy like that. Families met other families, but this days is different now. Females demand a lot. Okay, being that you demanding that, I'm gonna go build myself and all that stuff. And then when I come back, if I feel you worthy of my last name, I'll wife you up. Most of the time, he's looking somewhere else now because, like they all say, we all hear it. Women are made. Women, we have to spend more time making ourselves to what we are. Females, they just born with what they got, and they get things handed to them.
Unless they're ugly, then they have to work hard. Well, actually, they just get BBL and some plastic surgery and they good. So I don't know.
I agree with that too.
So even they get.
Not all women get things handed to them.
What's that? No, actually, you know what? Even they are getting some things. Now, it's not as much as the top of line attractive female, but they're getting a little something also too.
Yeah,
and
because guys think they're easy to
so
solve.
With their ego trip the way it is. It's like you see a big girl that getting smashed by this dude that's not admitting her one time, and she up there thinking that her fat moo cow twat is the ish.
Moo cow.
Not moo cow.
Oh, you that moo cow.
You know what? Here's the thing about these guys promoting BBWs and all these big women. I was like this: if she can't take care of herself, how do you expect her to take care of you? Because we all gonna get old. Our body's gonna break down. So you think she's gonna be able to survive being 300 pounds and all this other stuff? No, that's not.
I've seen some right now that they could barely get up there. They're trying to get up and down stairs and shit, man. I'm seeing it in my buildings.
Yeah, I see it.
And I don't say nothing. I shake my head. And she's like, I can't go up and down these stairs. But you told me you could do it. Because I wasn't going to rent to this one lady because she was talking about, I can't walk. I said, well, ma'am, I can't rent you the park. No, you got it. She was desperate because she couldn't find a place. So I went on ahead and rented to her. So she was talking about, well, I'll just stay upstairs. I won't go anywhere. And then come up and down the stairs and she's huffing and puffing. Oh. And I'm like, man, she need to exercise and do something. Because this is not going to get better. And I can hear her grunting walking down the hallway. I don't want to laugh, but damn. No, seriously. Hey, I heard her from the manager's apartment, which is a long hallway down and around the corner. And I said, this must be the tenant. She coming out the door. I said, yes, this is the tenant. I'm looking way down. 10 apartments down the hallway. 10. And so I turned back around on the corner, went back to the manager, but she made it over there. But I'm just like, this is a good example when a woman is by herself, she hasn't taken care of herself, and what she ends up dealing with being overweight and not trying to help herself any kind of way. I see this with a lot of my tenants now, the ones that have gotten up in their 60s and towards their 70s. A lot of them right now that I see I'm older than they are, and they can't even get up and down stairs clearly. They're in their 50s, hitting right into their early, 60, 61.
I never understood how women can be acting like they're all this, I can do bad all by myself, and see women struggling in their old age when they're bad by themselves. It's like, do you not see the end results of not having a partner or anything of that nature?
Well, that's why they got
with you.
That's why they get a dog.
I see them with their children be around. All of them got a son or daughter, and their son or daughter is hanging around. Every one of them. Some kind of way the son or daughter is there with them. I come into the apartment to see about doing maintenance work. to write up any complaints they have, and it's the son or the daughter that's there in either spot. Very seldom do I see them there totally by themselves, unless it might be like in a later part of the evening, but usually during the day or something in the afternoon, they have a son or daughter that's there. The ones
What
that are
about the
by
ones with
themselves.
no kids?
Every one of them got kids. Ain't none I know that's got no kids. They all got kids. Every one of them got kids. They got a grown daughter, a grown 2 or 3 sons or something. There's none that's without kids. All of them are grown, and you know they have kids. All of them. I don't think I'm trying to think if I even have a tenant that don't that's getting up in age and don't have any kids. I can't think of one right now. I really don't. Every one of
I
them
don't,
I know they got their kids around. The kids stay with them because a lot of them can't even afford to get an apartment on their own.
that is true. Like the inflation out here is like you pay like even the cheapest stay is still about $300 a month for like a single bedroom, and some people can't even afford that.
$300 where? Not where you
Sorry, I
talking
meant
about?
3,000. I meant 3,000.
Okay, all right. Because here in LA, just on the light end, you can find a 1 bedroom for like 1800. You might be lucky further on the east side to find one for 13. But on
And
the
that's
average, these things are 18 to 22 to 2500 a month to 1 bedrooms. This is in Los Angeles.
and you calculate minimum wage and the prices. Like it takes about like if you get paid every week, it takes about 3 weeks of your paycheck just to stay there. I'm like, are you even paying to
Stay
live?
where? If you got minimum wage, you can't barely you 2,000 a month. Look, the rent's 1750. You talking about minimum wage making like barely $2,000 a month? Come on, the rent's 1750.
Paying every 2 weeks and stuff. So you're gonna have to work.
No, $2,000 a month. You making $500 to $600 a week.
No,
This is on the average that
yeah,
some people are making. You're
yeah,
talking about
most jobs
five
pay
to
every
six.
2 weeks. So
What?
in a month, yeah, every 2 weeks you're probably getting home like 1,200, but it's still not enough. So a whole month will be 2,000, but you got other bills on top of that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like you can't survive. Like, are you even surviving? Because you're working just to get that amount of money, but you ain't even staying in the place. So I don't.
See,
And here's
that's why I have tenants that have stayed. I've seen the kids grow up. They're adults. They didn't stayed, and some of them moved out, got married, and a lot of them have stayed. They stayed with their family, and they're grown, and they've been there 30 years. So they're not moving. They're not moving out, and nobody's moving out because even when we offered to pay for some people, no, we're not moving. They will not move
because they
because
know the
they're
rent.
not going to find it. They're not going to see the rent because they've been there so many years. It's so low that they're not going to be able to see rent that size anymore. We got people renting 1 and 2s, like 1 bedrooms for $800, $900, 2 bedrooms for like 2,000 or not 2,000, 1,100, $1,200, $1,400, $1,500.
You
A
know
two
what's sad
bedroom.
about that right there? Like, if you're a smart person, in my opinion, this is my opinion though, you would look to get some maybe a land, you can build your house so you can have a generational home to go through. Because, like you said, you have generations staying in that same place, so they will do the same, but you will own the land. You'll pay off your mortgage. They'll have some property, to pass down. It makes simple sense, but I don't understand how I don't even understand how the economics has gotten this bad when you can just do simple math and just figure that out.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, when you look at this situation, this had something to do with the government, and people don't understand this. But your rents and everything went up because of the way the government and the banks are playing the game. Because what we did for a number of years, we didn't raise our rents. We started having to raise our rents when the LA started this crap first. Now everybody else is following suit. They had what you call systematic code enforcement. It goes to the Department of Housing. So we had an opportunity to fight the case. They didn't want us to put the money up. And the attorney said, if you don't put the money up, they're going to get embedded. And if they get embedded, you're not going to be able to get rid of them, and because they're going to be making money off of it. And strike now, I need like 30,000 and we can start with the case. It would have been a Supreme Court case, but they didn't, my peeps and the others, they didn't want to spend the money. I said, man, this is going to cost us down the road. I see it. So once they got it rolling, They talked about it under Dick Reardon, which was mayor of Los Angeles, and they started to implement it under oh God, I can't think of his name. Anyway, James Hahn and Villa Rugosa is when they facilitated it. So in the early 2000s, when they got it going, and they started charging us for every unit a certain amount of money 4 or 5 times a month. So right then we had to start raising our rents, because during that time we was doing 1 bedrooms for like $500-600 a month. That was like